Decided I'm not going to go through a full how to set up the Taranis X9D Plus. I'll put a link up here in the corner on a good video for that. But what I am going to do is just kind of show some of my settings I have in here before going into the iNav setup. So we'll go over first page and setup. I'm doing this one on D16, and we'll bind that here in a second. Next page, nothing, inputs. So we're going to need to know this. It's going to depend on how you set yours up. I believe the RETA is how mine did it when I did the in radio wizard, but I need to remember RETA is my first for when we set up the receiver in the iNav configurator. The rest of these channels are, this is inputs, is where I set it up for what switches I want to do what. So that's there. For the radio, if you're not familiar with Taranis or FrSky, OpenTX, you need to have the mixer set up. And again, these are just the same as the last page, but this is what channel they get sent out to. And I've got everything, I'm not sure I had 2 of those. Got everything set up through 14 different channels. Basically using up every switch I can. This page is one that I'll show again later when we're in iNav looking at the receiver tab, but these numbers I've derived from actually getting, this is what gets me my 1000 and 2000 in the range on the receiver page, which is necessary, especially for throttle. But all of them you want it to be going full range, 1000 to 2000. So the negative 97.6 and 97.7 on my radio is what I found gets me those. And I've got a few special functions set up, volume and things like that. Again, these are just things that are going to be per each person, depending on what you want, but that's how I've got mine set up. And then our telemetry, which we've got all these different ones. Again, I'll go in and redo that. Actually, what I am going to do right now is delete all sensors. So right now I've got none. So I will show that again once we get everything bound up, so we can show how to get those guys. So I want to track all those, both for SmartPort and also for the LUA script for the radio I like to use. And our scripts page, there's a iNav LUA script. I'm not going to go into how to do that. You can look it up on YouTube and find the iNav LUA script page, but it's a very good LUA script. I really like it. So that's how I've got the radio set up for my S800. This is my gray one now I've got on 2.4, and then I've got my other one on R9 system. So now I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the laptop and plug in the aircraft, and we'll go through some of my iNav settings. Now we've got everything set up, got our electronics all installed, flight controllers in there, wires are all cleaned up a little bit. I got this extension from ReadyMadeRC. I'll throw a link down below. They're really nice because it plugs into USB and takes all the pressure off. You're not unplugging, plugging. And this is a lot more flexible, so when you go to plug into your computer, it's not wearing it out. But like I said, I'll put a link down below. So the servos are in, but they're not glued in yet. So what I want to do before we go ahead and do our elevons is I want to make sure these are centered. And I'm just going to go through my iNav real quick and just kind of show what I have. I'll pop this link up in the top corner for a good setup video from Pavel, one of the iNav devs. He did a nice video going through, so use his video. If you got questions, feel free to comment and I'll try and answer, but I want to show real quick. So I go to Matek Sys page and go to flight controllers, and you go to the one you need. And if you go in here, they're really good. Matek is great about putting in wiring, how to actually wire everything up. So this shows you where to put everything on the board. Tells you your different receivers, where to put stuff. So I'm using the S-Bus, so I've got it on the S-Bus, and then TX2 for the SmartPort. That's all working. And the VTX and all that's kind of self-evident on the board. You also have a second camera on this one. Just note the voltage for the second camera is only 5 volt. It's good for an HD, like a split or something like that. LEDs, which I got plugged in. I need to put a buzzer on. No airspeed sensor, and then like GPS, it's got here where to put your GPS stuff. So this page is good, it's got all the stuff. I'll throw a link to this down below, but once you got all that plugged into the right places, you want to go into iNav configurator, and we're going to go ahead and plug in. The one thing I did notice, I think I had some issues with the firmware load that it came with, and I went back and I pulled also from the Matek page. If you go to spec and manual, right here they've got the target. Right now it's not in iNav yet, at the time of this video at least, on 2.2.1, but if you click this you can get the actual target, the hex file, and flash it manually. So I did that and everything's been working fine now. So if you have any issues, first thing I would try and flash this again. So we'll go now and look at iNav, go ahead and connect. So you can see that right now it's sitting, I've got this flat on the bench, but the model is actually showing it a little bit nose down. That's because I set it with a slight nose up. So that way it's actually going to fly what it should be 0. Your wings, any wing or plane is going to fly with a slight nose up attitude. That's just normal how airfoils work. So you want to set that just a little bit up. I think I'll see in a second where I've got mine. Mixer, we've got it set up. I just use the flying wing, keep it at 50 and 50 because 50 roll and 50 pitch. If you do a full roll pitch maneuver, bottom corner, top corner, whatever, that's going to be 100% on that servo. So just leave them where they are. I don't do presets. Ports, these I believe were the defaults for that firmware load, but GPS is on UART1, the receiver's on UART2. I've got smart audio on soft serial 1, which is the ST1 pin, and then smart port is on TX2, which is the soft serial 2. So there's those configuration. So this is what I'm saying. I've got 4 degrees pitch for the way my board sat in there. Again, it's going to be down to every one you put in there, how you put it in, different things. I didn't put a craft name in here yet, so we're going to call this G800 for gray. Oops. And a FPV G800. You can set your VTX settings. I like channel 8 power level, top max power level is 800, and I've got it set to use low power until I arm. Batteries, I'm going to most likely use, or most often use 1300 in this, so I'm going to keep that. And I do a 35 and a 25 for these. Down here, I permanently enable launch mode. You can always just turn off launch mode after you arm by just moving the pitch stick. So in my mind, it's a lot easier to set it up on here than to use a switch needlessly when it's just there. The switch you could use for something else, especially if you're going to try and do more long distance and navigation modes. Leap air mode on OSD should already be on. I also turn on multicolored LED, and I wired that up. I didn't do the wiring on video, but I'll show a little bit how it's set up in here. LED strip I've got set up. So what I did on this one, I actually put 7 LEDs on each side, and I ran them both to the start in. On this one, I just tried setting it up with it being 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because I want the same thing on both sides. It's working out great. It works. I'll show you that here in a little bit. But what I did, you have to go in and you click this wired order, pick which ones you want. So I could add more. Clear that one, clear that one. Once you've done that, you turn that off, and then you click on whichever one you want, and it'll tell you. I like to use arm state for mine. That way, so what I've got it set up, if you look on here, is my arm state is disarmed, it's green. So the lights are showing green, saying, hey, you can pick me up, and the motor's not, if you bump the throttle, the motor's not going to spin. And then mine, I go red for armed. I just kind of like the red on the back of mine. Orange would be cool with the color scheme I'm doing on this one, but I don't believe orange is very bright. So actually, let's go ahead and set it to orange. We'll leave it there. But what I do, I've got this set. So I also have, so the center LED is GPS status, and that'll be flashing, it's red and when it's nothing, I think, or if it's bad, orange when it's trying to get it, or yellow, and then green flashing when it's good. Just a nice way to see it without having to have my goggles on or anything. And then I've got the rest of them arm state except for 3 and 4. I also have blinking, so it gives you a little bit of a strobe in the back to try and help if somebody's following you. Again, that's just kind of how I did the LEDs. There's plenty of videos out there for how to do them if you want more in detail, or leave a comment and I'll try and answer as best I can. One thing I always try to do is do a diff all and save that then. Anytime I make changes, I save them all. I have a log. Here you're going to see it in a second. I just keep a dumps folder, and I've just got logs and logs and logs back to November 2017 was beta flight dump I did. So anytime I have an issue, I can just come back here and look and see what I might have done. And so I'm just going to go ahead and save this. So now we've got that done, we'll go ahead. I am going to disconnect so I don't have to have the laptop on the bench. Now that we got the laptop off the bench, got a little room. I grabbed a 4S battery. This is actually a 4S 2P. Somebody, had a few people ask about flying it with the 4S lithium ion. I had flown my old one in that. I don't currently have any 4S 1P packs. I only have this 2P pack. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 put together. It's a 7,000 milliamp hour pack. I use it in my AR wing. I guess maybe I could fit it in here. I don't think it would balance out for my center of gravity though. So I'm not going to fly like that. I just grabbed it to show, I mean, first off to show that with the WS in here, you can fit it, but more I just needed power. So I grabbed that as what I had charged up. So I'm going to go ahead and power my radio. And we'll power on here. And we're all bound up. So as I was saying about before, the LEDs, you see here the inner ones for my GPS are red. Then when they start to get satellites, they'll start flashing with yellow and red, and then they'll go to green flashing when they're good. So as it does it, I'll try and remember to show it to you. The big thing here is we're talking about the servos. So I don't know if you saw this one when I first powered up, went back all the way, and then once it bound up, it was good. And you can see here, they are good to go. Got movement. So, and they're correct. Down, or nose up, nose down, left roll, right roll, everything's working the way it should be. So my mixer is good, and these I now know are about centered, so I'm going to use that center position is where I'm going to set them up. So these are ready to be glued in, and we're going to go ahead and I'm actually going to do it in the next video. This one I'm going to keep for just kind of showing stuff, but I'm going to use these Great Plains push rods that I have. They're thicker. They're only going to end up being about that long, about that long. As you can see, there's not much bend over that distance. And then I've got adjustable threaded ends here so I can adjust the trim manually. So I'll put a Z-bend in these and make the hole slightly bigger on these guys so that they'll fit, and put one of those on each guy. Like I said, I'm going to do that in the next video and put the control horns on, getting it finalized. But in this one, I just want to show, like I said, now the GPS is green. I do still have this set the arm state of orange. So now when it's armed, you can see they go to that orange. I think I'm going to change it back to red. The orange just isn't that bright. So the red I think is a little better for following. And it goes back to green. Everything is good now electronically. The GPS is working. We've got our good green signal for GPS. Receiver's working. We know we're getting all our signals, our inputs. I think that's about all I got to put in this video. As you can see, everything's cleaned up nice. She's good to go. She's ready, getting ready to fly. So if you got any other questions on this, please comment below. Like, subscribe, share, all the good stuff. And hopefully the next video will be coming out much less than a week. I'm trying to get this done before the weekend. I'm going to be out of town, so I want to try and get this wrapped up. So hopefully I'll have this linkages video done soon. Going to actually paint some orange on top to help make it more visible. I don't think I'll put that in the video, but next time you see it, it might be orange also. So again, thank you very much for checking out these videos. I appreciate it, and I hope people are learning some stuff. So like I said, anything else that you might be able to cover, please leave a comment and I'll try and hit it. Thank you very much.